Hi, good morning. Welcome to our webinar today on achieving single sign-on for on-premise and cloud applications. In this webinar, we would like to cover our learnings and our experience in developing single sign-on applications between a locally hosted application and on-premise application. So we also want to demonstrate a small demo to showcase how this can be achieved. And we would like to answer any of your questions. And before concluding, we also want to have a brief introduction to SpadeWorks. Let me start with introducing myself. I am Srini Pule. I am leading Azure and mobile practices here at SpadeWorks. I'm having 15 plus years of experience in IT industry, spanning various roles, starting from a developer to technical lead to architect and project management, and of course into sales and pre-sales. Now I'm into leading the practices. So regarding the single sign-on, while working with our customers, we noticed that there are many instances where the customers already have certain applications that are being hosted on their internal data center, and whatever the latest applications that they developed are being hosted on Azure. However, to ensure that the existing login authentication mechanism is shared between the local applications as well as the hosted applications on Azure, there is a great demand for the single sign-on. So we can use various products, but Azure is offering a great tool which is called Access Control Services that provides the SSO capabilities that we want to achieve. So we want to demonstrate our understanding and how we can achieve SSO by leveraging the ACS offered by Windows Azure. Now, what we are proposing, as I said earlier also, there are multiple options to achieve SSO. We can go with Entrust or such type of solutions. However, the Azure services also having a very nice feature called Access Control Services for federated authentication. Now, ACS built on top of the Windows Identity Foundation framework. So we need to have a WIF configured on the Azure application as well as the locally hosted application to achieve this SSO. Unless we have the WIF configured, integrated with these two applications, it is not possible to achieve the SSO. So WIF is a prerequisite there. So once we install configure WIF and integrate the configuration settings with the solutions, it is a cakewalk for achieving the SSO. Now, how this overall solution flow, authentication flow happens. Here there are few acronyms that are being shown. IP that is shown as called identity provider. Identity provider is nothing but an authentication provider like Active Directory or Google or Windows Live ID or even Yahoo. So that is what is called identity provider, who offers a authentication mechanism. ACS is the service that is offered by Azure, Access Control Service that we talked about, and RP is our application, which is a relying party application, which is relying on ACS for the authentication. So that's what RP means. Last but not the least, the client is nothing but the client application, in this case typically the browser. Instead of browser, it can also be a web service which want to use this mechanism for authentication. How this flow works? So what happens is the client is trying to access relying party. application, which is nothing but our application. So client is trying to access our custom application, which is a web application. Then the RP redirects the client to ACS, because it is the ACS which is challenging the client to prove its identity. So once that is done, the client ACS, what it does is it redirects to the respective identity provider. If it is Active Directory or if it is Google, it will redirect to the respective authentication provider, which is nothing but the identity provider. And then the identity provider, after successful authentication based on the login and password, returns a token, a successful token. After that successful token is returned from the identity provider, the client receives that identity provider, which is being submitted to the ACS for validation. So after validating the token which is returned by the identity provider, ACS will redirect the customer, the client, to the relaying party application, which is nothing but our application. So this is how the overall flow works. Now let us see a quick demo on how to demonstrate this. So here is what the code that we have developed, an Azure-based application that we have developed, and this is what is a local application. Now, if you see, as we said, it is very, very important to have the Windows Identity Foundation WIF framework is installed. So once we install WIF framework on our developer machine, we will get an option called Add STS Reference in Visual Studio. So whatever that I am highlighting on the pop-up menu. So when I click on Add STS menu, we need to enter certain configuration details that we set from the Windows Azure portal. So I also want to show you Windows Azure portal, what is available on the ACS configuration settings. So this is what I logged into Windows Azure portal, and I am in now at Active Directory option. So in Active Directory option, I have a namespace, which is nothing but SWX ACS demo, and there I will be able to go to manage. So when I click on manage the ACS entry, ACS namespace there, I will be able to access the various configuration settings of that specific one. So if you see here, relying party applications, this is what we were talking about. Now, identity providers, I also want to talk about identity providers. These three are the default identity providers supported by Windows Azure. Now we can also add our own custom identity provider if we have one. Now, relying party application, where we already have created one called a local host. So every relying party application that we want to configure ACS with should have an entry here. So this is what we were talking about, where SWS booking app, which is a local host and running on 777. So I show it to you. This is how we should configure. So the entries of the relying party has to be configured, where the return URL we need to mention to which direct URL after authentication the ACS should redirect the user to. The token will be by default SAML 2.0. Now here if you see, we are mentioned all the three authentication identity providers as a login providers for this application. Now, what is the metadata that we need to use is application integration. If you see this under development tab, application integration, this is what is very important for us, where here WS Federation metadata. So what we have to do is we need to copy paste this Federation metadata, and then we need to go and add this reference into Add STS Reference menu option. So this is what the Add STS menu reference will come, and then when I go here, it will be a warning saying that, okay, can I use a regular HTTP? I say yes, and then I am here, I selected use an existing STS, which is nothing but our STS provider. So when I do this, what will happen is it will be doing a validation of the STS entries. So I am doing a testing of my federation configuration that I set in Azure, and it is successful. What it happens is then I click, I go to the next, and then it is successful. Then I am selecting default settings because we don't have a certificate authority issued certificate. I will be going ahead with the default settings. So I went ahead, I say no encryption, then I say finish. What happens is with the details, the STS or the ACS configuration will be finalized. So you see, Federation utility completed successfully is the message, and I got a Federation metadata folder gets created by default. So that is what is more important. And also there will be entries which will be talking about HTTPS access demo windows. This is what is the entries that have been created. So this is for my local configuration settings. We need to do similar configuration on our Azure application. So this is what is an Azure application. The same settings have to be made on Azure application also, so that the access control service will be integrated with the Azure application as well. So this is what is the URL that we have configured and we have deployed. So the application is already deployed. I just want to show you that relying party application. So both are the local application is this, and the Azure application is this. So we configured both application as two relying party applications for the same ACS namespace that we created for. So now this is what we have said. Now I want to demonstrate how actually it runs. So now I am in local application. Then I will do the build and I will just run. So now I'm going to run this. So the application is running, and then so though I accessed my local application, it is showing me the ACS based login page, because it is the ACS, the local application redirects the client, the browser to the ACS hosted login page. You remember the flow of events that we talked about? It is that redirection that happened. Now I am clicking Google as my authentication IP identity provider. So now I enter my username and password to validate. So once the IP validates, it returns the token to the browser, and the browser will connect to the local host now. Let us see what happens. So you see, the ACS will detect that the token is valid and it redirects the user to localhost, the application that is hosted in my localhost machine. Now what I'll do is I will be accessing now my shopping cart, the second Azure application which is hosted on Azure. So let us see what happens. Ideally, it also should connect to the same ACS demo access control, because it is also configured with the same ACS. Now because this also having all the three identity providers, I will use the Google as my identity provider. So let us see what happens when I select Google as my identity provider. Ideally, because both are using the same identity provider and I already have my authentication done for the online tickets booking application, which is my locally hosted application on my data center. Ideally, this Azure hosted application should not prompt me for username password again, because it automatically should take the same login that I already entered, and it should allow me to access this application. So let us see what happens. I clicked Google as my identity provider. So the browser is still showing a SWX ACS demo, and it redirected me to the SWX shopping cart.cloudapp.net, and it didn't prompted me to enter login name and password again for Google. So that's what it is. So basically, it is the identity provider which is doing the validation of username password, and it is ACS which is redirecting the user to appropriate URLs based on the configuration that happened at the backend. And this is how we can achieve single sign-on between locally hosted application and Azure-based application. We can log in either way. We log into local application first, and the same token will be passed on to the Azure, or vice versa, where we log into the Azure application first, and that same token can be passed on to the locally hosted application, irrespective of the order in which we use the login. So that's what the SSO feature that we can achieve using the ACS capabilities of Azure. And if you see, everything is through configuration, and we have not at all used any coding inside the application. So everything is plain simple configuration. That's what is the power of the ACS and Windows Identity Foundation, that is enabling the developers to implement SSO. So that is what is the demo that I want to demonstrate today. And where we can use this is pretty straightforward. We can use it any type of a solution where we have a locally hosted application versus Azure hosted applications, and we want to use a single login as the base, and that is pretty much the usage scenario. Though we have not demonstrated, we can extend this for Active Directory based authentications also. We have leveraged the built-in identity providers for login, but this can be demonstrated for with Active Directory also. So that's what is the usage scenarios, and we are open to any question and answers if you have. Well, it looks like there are no questions that came from the audience, so I'll move on to the next topic, which is just a brief introduction about SpadeWorks before concluding this webinar. So SpadeWorks founded in 2006 in Pune, India, and the primary focus for SpadeWorks are into software development and services to the IT industry, mainly from software development perspective. And the focus areas for software development are into the solution development and mobile application. The technology focus since beginning was more onto Microsoft technologies. The SharePoint, Windows, Azure are the niche focus areas. And of course, the mobility is one of the key thrust areas from SpadeWorks, where we are focusing on Android, iOS, and Windows Phone as one of as the technology areas that we are delivering solutions to. UCSE, User-Centered Software Engineering, is the methodology that SpadeWorks created and trademarked, and a lot of solutions have been delivered leveraging this methodology. What this methodology does is the solution conceptualization happens by keeping the end user as the core. This helped SpadeWorks to develop innovative and rich and intuitive solutions, and delivering it to the end consumers. This was very much appreciated and well received by the end consumers, and that is what is the differentiator that SpadeWorks is bringing onto the table. Today, SpadeWorks have around 85 employees spread across geographies, primarily in India and US, and around 150 plus projects have been delivered to various customers located USA, UK, India, Australia, and Singapore. SpadeWorks has offices. The primary delivery center and the headquarters is in Pune. However, we also have offices in USA, UK, and Singapore. And so far, SpadeWorks has been awarded with many top awards by industry body like NASSCOM, which awarded Spadeworks as the most promising IT company. And also Maharashtra, government of Maharashtra awarded Spadeworks with IT award in 2010. That's what is a brief snapshot of Spadeworks. And from a services perspective, Spadeworks offers cloud and SaaS enablement, mainly focusing on Azure, Windows Azure as the platform. Enterprise mobility, as I touched upon a couple of minutes back, we focus on enabling the mobile applications with the enterprises on Android, Windows Phone, and iOS platforms. And sustenance, which is nothing but support and maintenance services, as well as we also offer product engineering services to our customers. The application development, typically any service company does, so we are into the application development that we deliver for customers. While developing various solutions for our customers, we also developed various assets over the last 5-6 years, and these assets will help Spadeworks in expediting the delivery as well as reducing the cost of the solution. So far there are few frameworks. Azurite is a framework that we will be using for Azure-based solutions, and Byplay is a gaming platform, gaming framework that we can use for different solutions, either it is a point-based solution or AAS.NET-based solution. IdeaComp is a product innovation and ideation platform from Spadeworks. So it's a SharePoint-based product, and it helps the customers to streamline their innovation and idea management processes. Ormux is also a framework for rich media consumption and dissemination, and both is a knowledge management framework built on top of SharePoint. So these are all the various assets that we will be leveraging while developing the solutions to our customers, and these are IP protected of Spadeworks. And once again, thanks for your participation, and we look forward to hear from you. You can touch base with me anytime on the email that is mentioned, or you can reach out to any of our offices. The address and everything are available in our website. Thanks for joining this webinar. Thanks a lot.